Welcome back to the Telosive Tech Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is good to be back. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for us. It's not been as crazy in the tech world, but we're here, we're back. I'm glad to see you guys. How y'all doing?
I'm a year older. I'm
That's
not
right.
Yeah, that happened.
I forgot.
Man, skip a week and Randy goes up a number in age.
Right.
Man,
Times
you
are
wanna know
changing.
I've been out of school too long because I was saying this on my birthday and then I realized that I was really wrong. I'm 33. I can technically say I'm in my prime because 33 is a prime number. 33 is not a prime number. So I was like, nope. Yeah, I was like, never mind. 31, I was in my prime. So
Yeah.
Oh, we're past that.
I also realized
Dang it.
it's been a while from high school because it is my 10-year anniversary of graduating from high school this year. So,
Whoa.
yeah. I'm
So
now
much has
feeling old.
changed in the past 2 weeks. there's
there's a
we're
new
older now.
iPhone.
With the last Lightning iPhone came out. Oh my God.
We're older.
There's-
We've got high school reunions. We got people who just either still are in or have recently left high school. And Mike's over here. I got a 10-year coming up. Woo. My hip.
We had a classical music launch. Spotify's into AI now.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Why
please.
why is Spotify doing this? Why are they doing this to me? I have
Yes,
avoided TikTok like the plague. And they're just like, you know what? We're going to adopt a TikTok-like user interface. And I get like they want to get all in on like the video type of thing. And that's kind of like what the hip thing is with UI right now is kind of just scrolling endlessly. But I just want to listen to music. Like,
Does this mean they lost to Apple, that they've given up and they're trying to branch out? And Apple Music is the superior music player?
maybe.
Maybe.
This could
It
just
could, depending on what you prioritize with your streaming service. I feel like they're intentionally trying to make their app more functional, which I don't think is a bad route to go. I keep trying to think about like what would I do in their shoes, because Apple's obviously like the king when it comes to.
In the words of Tim
the
Cook,
music
I
industry.
wouldn't be in their shoes.
I wouldn't be there in the first place. But I am thinking like if your goal is to increase like usefulness, because they're like, okay, we're not making that much money off of music streaming, so let's try to get more into podcasting, and then we have more exclusive podcasts, and now we have video podcasts. Next inevitable step, I guess, would be to try to create a platform where artists or podcasters or whoever engage more with the viewer, listener, whoever, so that there's less reason to close the app, and their hope is that one of these other avenues will become more profitable, because if you're just trying to go toe-to-toe with Apple and just say, let's just focus on music, they're going to lose because they can't pay the artists as much. They don't have the lossless support. And, of course, Apple has the first-party advantage because they're the default app on the iPhone. Spotify's not going to have that on anything, really. I mean, they could maybe form some partnerships with Google or Samsung, but it's not the same. So
was that a
I feel like
problem,
this
though?
is kind of the only way they can go, but
Was
Is
screen
it a
time
good
a
idea?
problem though in the first place for Spotify? Because I understand like the more people are staring at your app, the more likely that you're gonna get a sale or you're gonna get that interaction that you want, or more of that data if you're looking at it from a Google type of perspective. But as a music streaming app or company as well, like I think the only selling point, I mean, you could do selling points like listen to this specific episode of the Joe Rogan podcast, but you have to pay $1.99 for it or something like that. Then like, okay, that's how you get more people to do it. But like, I don't really see any like microtransactions happening on Spotify that elicit anything. I would think the way Spotify could get more money is to up their bit rate for certain tiers or songs, so that way they can get that much more on a monthly basis from their user pool, where I don't think screen time's necessarily, I don't know. I guess maybe it's a whole data thing that I just don't really get or care about.
no, that's a good point, though. Screen time over listening time, I guess, is what they're focusing on.
I think what's
more time in the app.
the part I'm confused about with what Spotify's trying to do is it's not that they lack vision, it's that I think they want to do multiple things at once, and they're just kind of doing a little bit here, a little bit, and it's just like instead of really going in on one and then really going in on another, it's kind of doing one of these. And what I mean specifically is with music,
It's like me doing a gaming channel, is what you're saying.
yeah, you and your 15 YouTube channels. Yeah, when I think of music services and music streaming, it's a very passive experience in regards to what you do. It's meant to be minimal time in the app interface. Pick your song, pick your playlist, or pick your artist, pick your album, pick your whatever, swipe out. Music is background. Anything, audible books, like all that stuff. It's all background. It's meant to be passive. But then we started seeing both. Spotify did this first, and then it started trickling over to Apple Music. Put some pictures up of the artists that you're interested in. Put a little bio. Put a little about this playlist or album details about, and it starts to become a little bit more like you interact with it. And then, for sure, I saw this on Apple. Oh, now we got music videos that we put up, and I think they started putting music videos ever since they did the Apple Connect, like the Apple Music Connect or something like that, when they tried to make it more social media alike. So you see that they try to implement a little bit more where it's like, are you trying to be YouTube with it? Here's the video, here's the comment, you can like it. Or maybe Instagram would probably be a more appropriate
Comments
one. But
on music.
So
Yes. We're trying to be Insta-Snap talk.
Insta SnapTube book.
SnapTube.
Instant SnapTube book.
Insta
Plus.
SnapTube. Yes, all those things. I love how everyone was calling it like Instagram style stories, and I was like, it hurts me to read that when I know they ripped it off from Snapchat. Like,
Right.
that is not an Instagram thing.
Yeah.
That is something they copied, but now it is known as
Hey, great artist copy. No, good artist copy, great artist steal. And they
That's
just
right.
came in. Hey, Snap. Facebook went, F you. It's mine now. This is the high school
That's why we
version
call
of
it
give me
the
your
Oreo,
lunch
right?
money. Huh?
Yeah. That's why we call it the Oreo.
Yeah.
The-
or
the-
Band-Aid, Q-Tip. We're just talking brands at that point.
I mean, Oreo didn't come up with that cookie, but then they mainstreamed it and it's a long story. Anyway, yeah.
Capitalism.
Don't worry, Drew. That's why in a few months or something, we're going to start binging it instead of pinging.
That's right.
They're taking
I don't
that
know,
back.
Bing it.
I want you to just Bing it. Does that roll off the tongue the way better than you say, like, oh, just Google it? No, I'm going to Bing it. You're going to what?
DJ.
It's better than what it used to be called, which was Bang.
Just bang it.
Bang, bang.
Yeah. That's what it was called, and then they changed it for obvious reasons.
Dang, I just got banged on they looked me up. Have you ever banged yourself? What? Just to see what comes up?
A good thing they didn't bank on the banging terminology.
Yeah.
They were like, hold on a second. Wait a minute.
So I think with this Spotify thing in particular, I find it like they want to do more YouTube kind of style because they do the podcast exclusive. You can watch our video, and they don't want to be passive. They want to offer a passive option with the music playing or podcasts, audibles or audiobooks. Excuse me. But I think they want to make it more interactive in a way that makes it feel like it's a social platform. And on paper, in theory, it sounds cool. I always like these ideas. But the problem is, it's like, who are you competing with? Then it sounds like you're kind of competing with YouTube a bit. Maybe in the form of TikTok or whatever, but you're not a social media platform that anybody can just upload. You're there because of these artists, whether they're doing the podcast, the music, whatever, puts the stuff there. And we've already been conditioned. We're already trained. That doesn't mean don't try it. I don't discourage people trying to put their hat in the ring on anything. I just don't have the strongest faith in it because so many people try to go toe to toe with YouTube, and it just it's YouTube. We've talked about it on and off record, our disdain and frustrations with YouTube as content creators, and sometimes even as a consumer. Like there's some things that
we were
frustrate
just
me.
talking about it right before we went live about the banner art.
Right, exactly. So
Like,
there are
this is
things
so
that are
stupid.
frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But look, rubber hits the road. Like they do that thing, that one thing they're really good at. They do that very, very well. And like I'm not ignorant to say I'm not going to play ball on either side of that equation, consumer or creator. Both of those, they offer the best platform for it, and there's room for improvement. But what app doesn't have room for improvement? So for Spotify to come in and like, okay, now we're going to start doing these TikTok type of styles and make it cool, but I don't know if that really amounts to anything. What Spotify is good for currently, outside of Spotify, is the numbers. Oh, this has that many streams. They played this music so many times, and they now incorporate to like the Billboard Top 100 or like all that stuff that counts towards something now. They don't give a poop about the interaction with here's our
Language,
photos.
Randy, please.
I know. I'm just so passionate about this. All they care about, the only thing that anyone cares about Spotify is like, hey, they're looking at Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Apple Music for the streams. The only thing that counts outside of that little realm right there are the streams. And that's their version of plays, which can either offer brand deals or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm confused. I'm really confused that Spotify. That's not would be the next thing I would focus on. If I was in charge of Spotify, I would say let's nail down the streaming portion perfectly, because the Spotify podcast portion sometimes it's a bit buggy for me. I don't like how that interacts the best with, but I manage it. I watched the CoffeeZilla Joe Rogan thing, for example, and I was like, this is cool. This interaction sucks. Like the UI interaction sucks, but I wanted to watch the whole thing on Spotify. Let's fix that. Let's fix the bit rate. Let's justify the price increase if there's going to be one. Otherwise, let's bring the most value to it. Let's not start adding more content let's not iTunes this thing and bloat it up and then say we're raising the price by $2 more and here's why, because you're just making it iTunes. Nobody liked iTunes. It was so bloated. So don't do that.
Feels very ping, huh?
Oh my God.
We're
How
gonna
many
ping
dead
it.
companies are you going to talk about?
Social.
Is this alluding to your idea that Spotify is going to go under then, Drew?
I don't think they'll go under, but I do think
They won't
they'll
go over.
probably not be they'll probably not be the leader much longer. It feels like Apple Music's been gaining market share ever since they launched, and now they seem to just be doubling down on what works, which is just it's really, really about music, and that's it. And now they're doing the classical thing, so I guess they're trying to get maybe more niche with who they're catering towards. Now we want to have a whole app just for people who want classical music, and there's going to be curated playlists, and it's going to be lossless, and it's going to have custom artwork. It's like, geez, why are you so like invested all of a sudden? But I think Apple can afford, because they're Apple, they can have super thin margins on Apple Music, and it doesn't really matter because they have so much money coming in from other things, whereas Spotify
They have only
is just,
one bottom line. They only have one. Not all these other, just the one. So
right. And social media, as we've seen time and time again, is very, very... I've never seen like a big company been able to successfully build a social media site. Like it's always a random startup that no one's heard of that slowly picks up
if
a lot
Google
of traction
could not make
and then
it
gets
work,
big.
then I don't see it happening, because they
No,
tried
Apple
really hard.
tried twice
Yeah, they did.
and failed. Google bought successful social media, as did Meta, but Meta, again, was a couple of guys in a dorm room that started with Facebook. It wasn't some big tech company. And then they were like, oh, we're threatened by Instagram, another, tiny dorm room style startup that got big, so they were threatened, so they bought them out. Same thing with WhatsApp and Oculus and everything. It's like, I think I don't like everything Elon Musk has done. I feel like I have to start every sentence with that. But
fanboy, you Elonite,
right, I know. But I did say,
you musketeer.
Yeah, I did say very publicly that when he was talking about doing a social media or getting into the social media space, I said you'd be much better off buying an existing one than you would starting from the ground up. Starting from the ground up pretty much always fails if you're a
took
big
your advice.
Giant. He read my tweet, I think.
And now half the world hates you.
Half is generous, I'd say 2/3, but yeah, it was strategically the best way to have a substantial influence in the social media space is to acquire an existing one. So maybe Spotify would have been better merging with someone else. Snapchat? I don't know.
This is
they're
rebranding the way they like. I remember the last
Spoticles.
Oh no! Go find some random kiosk out there and throw your money at it, and they'll give you your glasses, and then this is the future. Oh, he's got
honestly,
them, guys.
Just explaining that just now convinced me. Like, I think you would have been better off using an existing platform, or like, there's some people that are still really passionate about what's that freaking Mammoth or Mastodon.
Mastodon, that's what it is. It's close. The thing that has the tusk.
Like, no. Hey, Phil Schiller's there, so who's to say, really?
And Elton John, probably.
He's over there. You don't tweet on Mastodon. What do? You mast?
Nope. Stop.
You mast.
Nope.
He saw it. He saw it coming. He saw it
HR's
coming.
telling us to cut the jokes. So.
All right. He knows where I was going. Oh man, am I that predictable now? But this,
it's like the sail of a ship. It's a mast.
And sometimes you have to master. Never mind. So, the Apple classical music, I'm so confused about that. I have no idea. But what I do know is if I don't have to pay for it and it just comes with the Apple Music, funny. Here's something that you guys don't know. My son falls asleep to classical music.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how
he goes to bed.
Smart.
That's true.
I play the music, and it depends. It's either gonna be classical piano music or it's Frank Sinatra.
What's wrong with Frank? Frank
nothing.
Is great.
No, it's just I was like, hey, let's put music in the background, and we've tried all these other things, and then I was like, oh, let's see, what do you think about my instrumental music, son? Check this out. I'm like, oh no. But if it's like, I got you under my skin, also, and he's out. He's asleep.
My way.
Yeah. Luck be a lady tonight. Oh man, I'm dreaming about Frank because he's just.
I just picture Sage.
Yeah.
Snapping away.
Everything.
Oh, jingle bells. Jingle bells. Yeah.
He's going Bach to basics.
No. No. Wrong. I'm the dad jokes.
I had a few title ideas for my last tech video, so
I love it.
One
Bach
I didn't
to the
go
basic.
with,
That you should.
Bach
That's amazing. But
the members wanted me to do like Bach or Beethoven with AirPods in his ears for the thumbnail.
That would have been so cool.
That would take more than 5 minutes to make, so I didn't.
I get it. That's the cutoff time. Listen, I don't get the classical music. I looking right now on YouTube with your video 15 hours ago. I have not watched yet, so I don't know if you broke it down. But explain it to me as if I don't know anything about it, because I don't. What's this about?
Well, they acquired a classical music app. Did you hear about that?
Yes, years ago.
Back in 2021, yeah.
Yeah.
And they bought it and publicly stated that they would rebrand it into a Apple Music thing, and that it would launch it sometime in 2022. So that didn't happen.
Is this a copyright thing or like a public domain thing that they couldn't just put on Apple Music?
There's a video everyone keeps sharing around that says, here's why they did it separately. And everyone who watches the video says, oh, I get it. This makes so much sense. And I have not watched it. So
All right.
I'm going to take it
right
as
now, but
it allows them to focus more on an app that instead of having to fine tune it to be classical oriented, it's just classical oriented from the ground up for the people that really want that. And I have a hard time understanding how that's a large market, but I think that it's not necessarily a large market, but that's kind of the point, is like Apple Music is like, let's be honest, does that many Apple Music subscribers listen to lossless files? Like
Maybe.
at their full
if it comes up lossless, like I don't go out of my way. I don't go to the lossless category and be like, oh, let's listen to this in lossless. Let's listen to this.
But are you still listening via AirPods?
Yeah, no, it depends. If I'm at my desk, I'll have these on. But like these past 2 weeks, yeah. Or I get where you're going with this. It's Bluetooth in my car, so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I mean, like the vast majority of Apple Music subscribers are probably not taking advantage of the lossless
wireless
playback.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right, because most of us are using AirPods or listening through Bluetooth or through the car, or we're listening, through some other medium that isn't lossless supported, because most of our phones don't even have headphone jacks. So it's like they went above and beyond to tackle more niches.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see classical, is it's like it doesn't need to be a big deal. They didn't even make a newsroom post about it, which I thought was interesting. Apple made a newsroom post for Ted Lasso season 3, but they did not make a newsroom post about Apple Music
Tim
Classical. They made a Twitter account.
Tim loves Ted, so it makes sense that there'd be a newsroom post. But classical, nah.
Tim hates classical music.
I don't know. I mean, if it means that I can listen to all of Mozart a whole lot easier, or listen to that Tchaikovsky in high definition on my curated playlist for all of my
in 4K.
Yeah, right. I think it's fine by me. I mean, what else is Apple going to do right now? Because they could try to work on their algorithm to be a lot better than Spotify, in which they probably are. They're trying to, but they could also branch out as well, because they have, like you said before, they have the bandwidth. They have the financials to do stuff like this. So why not? Let's try it out. Let's just test the waters. It's the same as just making the Plus, right? Just trying to see, are people going to buy this? Are people going to get invested in this? What's our data going to be like? And where are people looking specifically? And how can we make a weekly playlist for Tchaikovsky, Mozart, and Beethoven that makes sense, that gets people excited and talk about it, or at least gets those data numbers rolling? So I'm not too sure. I'm a lot more warm welcoming to that than I am with what Spotify's doing, just because I like what the look and feel is with Spotify. And changing that, I understand change needs to happen, but changing it to something that is like more social media oriented and is more like bite-sized pieces, because our little human brains in the 2020s can't handle a 2-minute thing. We have to get in like a 15-second increment or a 10-second increment. If you can't satisfy that, then you need to move on.
Right.
Or you're going to just get buried underneath everything else. So I get it, but I don't know. I think this is neat. I think this is interesting.
At least it doesn't hurt the existing platform in any way. It's not changing the regular app up at all. It's like everything you love about Apple Music, which seems to be working, is still there. This is just an additional app you can download if you are interested, but it's not required. And it won't be, as far as I understand, it will not be installed on iOS by default. So even if you get a whole new phone,
cool,
it's still something you'd have
I
to
don't
go out of your way
have
to
3
download.
Apple Music preloaded apps then on my phone. I don't have iTunes, Apple Music, and Apple Music Classical or whatever.
We'll need a bass clef for the next logo.
Is that what it's called? I'm not.
It's one more Apple. I have the Apple Artist app, the Apple Music app, I recently deleted the iTunes app because I forgot that was there. And I'm gonna there's all these sub apps for it.
Yeah, it's the bass clef.
Okay.
I'm actually cool. I'm
guess I'm not
totally
based.
cool with branching out separate apps. If like the way they did podcasts and Apple TV separately, than Apple Music. I'm all for that because they give you the option if you want it there, it's there. If you don't, you can remove it or delete the app from your phone. Assuming
It's almost like completely opposite strategies from both companies.
and I kind of
It's
like
like-
it.
Spotify is trying to be the super app, approach where we put everything in one place, and Apple's trying to diversify and say this app just does one thing. That's why, like, for years people have been saying we should merge like the phone app and messages and FaceTime all into one app, and I've seen concept art of that, and I'm like, I could probably appreciate it and get used to it, but I get why they don't, because the iPhone has become so commonplace and so huge globally that it's like anytime you make a change like that, you're expecting literally billions of people to adapt and to change the way their phone fundamentally is used to working. So maybe they've accepted that your best bet is to let one app do one thing really well and not try to put it all in one basket. And Spotify and Twitter as well is trying to be this, are both trying to be not that. They're both trying to say, how many things can we do at one time? Because they know they don't sell phones.
Yeah.
They sell software as a service. They
Ads.
sell screen time
They
and
sell
ads. So they're like, we need you to open the app, and then how can we stop you from leaving the app? We'll do anything we can to get you to stop from leaving it. Whereas Apple's like, you're still in our garden.
Yeah, that's it.
You're here. As
And
long as your
I
garden
love that.
experience is enjoyable.
I love it because it's the old argument about fragmented versus consolidated in the ecosystem, which is funny because in this particular, they're trying to consolidate their fragmentation. Well, Apple is fragmenting the apps in their consolidated walled garden. And what you come to expect with Apple, with their branding, with who they are, and that the customer experience, it always comes back to the customer experience, is that you expect it to what? Say it with me. Just work. Thank you, everybody. And when it comes to something like Spotify, or say it was this Masterson, whatever the Twitter, when it comes to something outside of what you're familiar with, you are unconsciously taking a risk that you're like, well, it might work, it might not. And some people are open-minded. Let's see how this rolls. It's kind of buggy, it's kind of glitchy, kind of whatever. There's no cohesion between the device that I'm using and the application that I'm using. And sometimes it works. For example, Drew has openly said, which I agree with years ago, that the Spotify app on the Apple Watch is kind of cool because it mixed it up. It gave a whole little UI and it did the basics. It worked, and it was just its own design language. But then when you try to go a little too far out of it, imagine having the rounded corners for thumbnails now. For anything that used to have a sharp corners are done. Everything's a rounded corner now. And then you open up.
YouTube forced that.
I know.
They built it in now.
Can I just say really quickly that I was ahead of the curve on that one with my thumbnails.
You were, yeah.
It's like I saw it coming.
You inspired them, Randy.
You're welcome, YouTube. I'll take my royalty now. I saw
every video
coming.
that has a rounded thumbnail. Randy
You're welcome.
Gets a 1/100th of a penny.
That's a lot of money.
Still pay me a little bit
It
more.
is, yeah.
Yeah. I'll pay me more than Spotify has. I'll tell you that much. Laughs
You'll
and
make
tears
the big
because it's true.
So with the changes that Spotify is making, it makes me kind of want to try out Tidal. So I've been wanting to, and every single time that I'm going to sign up, it's like, yeah, but Spotify just kind of works and all that. And I've got my playlist. My wife has her playlist because we have like what I like about Spotify is they have some different plans, and the one that we're on is like the 2-person family plan or whatever, like just two people for like $12.99 or whatever.
That's cool.
And it's good because it like gives us everything that we need. It gives us basically our own accounts, and we have our own playlists that we listen to. And so moving on to Tidal, it'd be like, there goes all the playlists. So usually when I hit that barrier, I'm like, okay,
I can help you there.
I'll deal with Spotify. But I wanted to mention before you get to that, and maybe this is what you're going to mention, Randy, there is a way with Tidal to import your playlists into it, which just means there's no barrier to entry whenever I want to switch over to Tidal or just try out Tidal and see whether it's better experience than what Spotify is going to turn into with its TikTok.
You care about the
user interface.
lossless audio like that?
Not as much. I mean, I looked at all their different subscription options. I think like the mid tier or like the base tier family plan, because it'd be me and my wife. But like,
is it mid or based?
Yes, there is mid and base in there. Countered. I think just like the base family plan is good enough at, I think is like $14.99 or something like that. It's like $2 more a month, but if that means I have a better user experience with it and I don't have to deal with crazy TikTok like user interface when I'm just trying to listen to a podcast on the way to work or whatever, I'd rather that. Or I guess maybe on the way to work.
Do you like
anything else.
Tidal over Apple Music because of the import of the playlists, or what is it about Tidal over like Apple Music? I'm not.
The sound quality is something that I've done some research. I haven't done a crazy amount of research. I haven't tried out Apple Music.
I just want you to know really quickly,
Tidal
I'm not baiting
that.
you. I'm not gonna
Sure.
trap you. Like, I'm actually very interested that you're interested in Tidal, and from an artist perspective, and on the back end, what I have to do with Tidal, I've never got to pick someone's brain about why they choose Tidal. So I'm coming to you from that perspective.
Yeah, no, I never thought it was a bait, but I just thought sound quality is something that editing this podcast a couple times and then listening to other stuff, I could definitely tell audio quality. I'm not like an audiophile in that way, but enough to where I can tell pretty well between like I think 16 and 32, or at least I can I can hear that difference, the different qualities of that audio. I'm repeating myself, but I just thought it'd be interesting to try that out, whether it's with a free trial or whatever, and just see whether one, I notice it, and two, if it catches me and hooks me in with either my playlist I've already curated and it builds off of that, or I just have to start a new playlist and then I just get something ground up from what Tidal's kind of built with their algorithm. So that's something that interests me. But yeah, definitely quality is something that I noticed with Spotify is just bad, both in the car and on my phone, versus when I've played anything on the streaming app on the Tesla, or just anything else. Even when my HomePod, in which I've unplugged and put in the box, I need to go to Apple Store at some point to try to get a new HomePod. Even when it plays music at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning randomly from Apple Music, in which I haven't opened the Apple Music app on my phone in like months. The song sounds really great. It's coming out really well. It's just jarring when it's 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. So Apple Music might be another option as well. I just don't want to put too many eggs in one basket because I already have put so much into the studio setup that I've got, and the iPad and the phone, and I get it. Like, yeah, once you kind of are in the network, it's hard to leave, and that's maybe my apprehension is I don't want to go all in to where I just have everything Apple. And it's not just because of that, but it's also just it'd be nice to diversify and experience something from another company and get an opinion on that. So that's why
I like that.
Tidal's
Yeah, I totally get that.
the next step.
You're open minded. You're that example I was giving a moment ago about like some people are open minded about trying new apps and new things and seeing how it go, and then if they don't like it, they just get rid of it. And other people are like, no, I'm sticking with what I know. And there's normally two types of people when it comes to that. What's interesting is that if you said you did the research, I'm assuming you saw the same information that like I did when I researched, and then
Same
out there
videos
about
and everything,
like
probably.
how Spotify is objectively a worse sounding platform. They don't put the money in the infrastructure for streaming. So for our audience, Andrew, compare what Mike is saying to going on YouTube, and the highest resolution you can stream it at is maybe 420, or maybe I wouldn't even say 720, but at least 420, and that's what your payment will give you is 420. Whereas, I say 420, 480. 480 is the resolution, and I got something else on the mind, huh? So
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. And 720 is where most people be like, okay, this is fine, and it might say HD, and you might see HD, but you're not actually experiencing the full HD of it. Thus, 1080p would be your lossless. 1440 and 4K is when you start to get to the higher bitrate that what Mike was talking about, and that's when you get to this higher depth. There are different levels of lossless. The high-res lossless would be the 4K resolution equivalent. And Spotify, part because it's free, won't give you the HD version equivalent. I'm translating from video to audio here. They will give you the 480, maybe the 720. I just made this comparison in lifetime, so I don't know which one I would actually assign it to. But the point is, you're not getting at least 1080. And people will say 1080 is the standard. At least that's the barrier of entry. Whereas you go to Tidal, and all things can be 4K, UHD, what's that thing? The HDR, all that. You could see it the way how they market. See it the way the artist intended you to see it. In this case, hear it the way the artist intended for you to hear it. With that, Mike, what I find interesting is I did not know that you can import your playlist to Tidal. That's a cool incentive. Mm-hmm. Come over here, because there's a third-party software that lets you actually do that, and I did that when I was moving from YouTube Music to Spotify to Apple, because I was kind of bouncing around at one point. I'm already paying for YouTube. Why not just use the music app? Was my headspace. Then family put me on their Apple plan. I was like, never mind. I'm going back to Apple. Bye. Right. So I chose the better of the two, because Apple, at least barrier of entry, gives you the 1080 or 1440p equivalent. So I'm like, all right, I import my playlist that way. If an application that's outside of the ecosystem, if I'm hearing you correct, Mike, if the application offers you to bring you your whole playlist, you're more open-minded about, hey, I'll go over here. If Apple did the same thing, hey, I might try Apple. As long as I can bring my catalog with me, that's the equivalent of like in the early 2000s when people would download their music. As long as I can bring my library with me, I'll try it out. I'm game. Let's see what works. Woo me. Convince me. Make me want to stay on this platform. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
It is something that's similar when I think when I started with Spotify, because I was looking at like the very first songs that I liked back in, I think it's when I got my Pixel, the Pixel 2 XL. I think that was like in 2016, 2017 is when I got Spotify. And I had to like a bunch of songs because I think before, I don't think I even had, I think the thing I had before was iTunes. I just used an iPod, or even, I guess, in between the iPod and the Pixel, I just listened to music on YouTube just because I didn't feel like I needed music on me. And if I did, I'd just bring my iPod, which had very old music. But otherwise, like the music that I first liked on Spotify was just like some stuff that was either pop at the time or one or two songs from my iPod that I'm like, yeah, I'd listen to this more. But being able to bring your playlist to different locations or to different services would be great. My only apprehension is once it gets imported to Tidal, it gets on the little tile block. That
would be confusing. Tile and Tidal merged.
Ooh, there you go. That's how you do it. You can listen to music
Tiled.
while being tracked.
Titled.
Yeah. Get titled, bro. But my apprehension of pushing everything to Tidal is, can I get it off if I want to change my mind and either go back to Spotify or go to Apple Music or, God forbid, go to YouTube Music.
Sorry.
I'm not a fan of YouTube Music, to be...
Anyone is. No one really is. They just tolerate it. They just are like,
it's like Amazon
it's
Music.
horrible.
I'm paying for it. Or Amazon Video.
Prime
I'm paying
Music.
for it.
I've got Prime Music, and it is
Prime
trash.
Music is. Yeah. You can, Mike. You can, if your apprehension is about moving your playlist, there are websites out there that help you. They have a step-by-step. Like if you're coming from Tidal to Apple Music, do this in your Tidal profile, and then you'll be able to transfer. And it worked. Because I didn't mean to but I built up quite an amazing playlist off of Spotify. That I was like, man, back in 2017, 2018, like these guys got it right. They got the algorithm right. I am getting, they're bringing the heat, fire song after fire song. And I'm like, at this point, I didn't have to like it anymore. It learned what I liked, and it offered me new stuff along the way. So everything that I played, I was like, download, or save. And I was like, man, I'm leaving Spotify, and I don't want to lose all this music because I can't just go search this name on Apple, download. That was not worth it. And in 2019, I found this service. They're like, oh, first 3 transfers are free or something like that, and it's whatever. Like it's meant to be like a one-time thing that you can knock out. And since then, I've seen that other people. There's more than just one service that will do that for you, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're all free. So if your apprehension is losing your music that you've built up over the time, and this goes for anybody else who's open-minded about getting out of, say, Spotify. They're like, I don't like the updates of Spotify. This is too not my thing. I'm going to Apple. There's a place you can get that playlist transfer, and it's as simple as Googling or Binging. God, transfers playlist from blank to blank. That's it. And then it'll do and then follow the step by step. Or maybe you're the guy who does like what Spotify's doing. You're like, forget this classical crap. I'm getting out of Apple. I'm going to Spotify. Then same thing. There are services to help you port your music over. So I like that Tidal would offer it in-house though. That's a cool feature. It's like Apple saying, bring your Android and we'll do the transfer for you. Like, we'll do it for you. I like that for music and stuff because that's one of the things that doesn't transfer, say, with iCloud. You transfer your photos, and it's in the cloud. You transfer your messages, it's in the cloud, your contacts, and that's pretty much majority of what people would need from their phone. But your music doesn't transfer unless you have iCloud Apple Music library or whatever they call it. Some of those other stuff, you're like, oh, my notes, like you have to turn it on. I like if there's like, bring your stuff, we'll transfer it for you for free, and give us a go. Maybe you like us. So that's kind of cool. I had no idea we were going to talk about music this long. I'm a little burnt out on that now.
Okay.
Randy being burnt out on music? No.
I did.
That's
we're getting very
impossible.
hyper specific, and I'm like, oh wow. Why would we do that when we could talk about the yellow iPhone?
I
That's
guess one
true.
last note before we move on.
I'm
Was
just
it
being
Spotify
facetious.
Premium is like, I think 320 kilobits per second in terms of quality, while the base hi-fi family tier delivers 1,411 kilobits per second, or up to that, which is crazy. Just means that much more quality. And I think it's already supported by the Tesla. So that's another thing, is that it's all
true.
already in there. So it's kind of
In the car.
it's the car controlling what music apps I'm going to get, and which I've looked at all of them. I've looked at different videos and listened to what people have said. Some that are audiophiles, others that are just run-of-the-mill YouTuber who wanted to review something. And usually a lot of them say Tidal is a really good service. It's just like all of these companies, they put their eggs in different baskets.
Yeah.
Spotify put all in discoverability and the amount of music that they offer. Tidal put it into quality. Apple put it into classical music.
I would say they put it all into the catalog because at the time, definitely at the time when they launched everything, nobody had the library of music that iTunes had. iTunes was they changed. iTunes single-handedly changed the whole moving away from CD thing, and people discredit that a lot or don't understand the impact that iTunes had on that. There would be no Spotify or any of this other stuff if it wasn't for the inception of iTunes saying, here's how easy it is to find it, to download it, and to just have your library there. Credit where credit's due. Give the flowers to Spotify for mainstreaming the streaming part of it instead of just buying the music. So kudos to them for doing that. But then before Spotify, you had Pandora or Pandora. Pandora.
Yes, Pandora. That's why
Internet
I listened to
radio.
beforehand.
Internet radio. So you saw the groundworks being laid there, but none of that would have ever happened if it wasn't for iTunes. So Apple put their money in the catalogs that they had because they had those partnerships with Universal, Warner, Sony and all these, and then even the small Atlantic, like all the labels or the record companies, they already had those partnerships, and some of them they don't. It took them a long time to get like Beatles, for example, because there was this big lawsuit with ITV and this, that, and the other. The Beatles was for the longest time never on iTunes, and so it took a lot of backdoor.
I remember that. That was a big day, and I wasn't even a big Beatles fan, but they had it on the landing page of the website and everything.
They were so proud.
We got them!
We did it! They came to the 21st century. Yeah, it was a big deal. So I'd say that's where they put their money at, was behind their catalog.
Exactly. So it's something that I'll probably look into. What's nice is it's got up to like 5 additional accounts. So me and my wife want to listen to it. So there's 3 other spots. So I think what we can maybe do in the future is give access to you guys, and then we can all experience Tidal and do another one of these most hilarious tech podcast music reviews. Just what's going on in audio. Yeah, you got the
Michael,
gear.
question: do you pay for Yeah, this is how serious I am.
Wow.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm that serious. Do you pay for premium connectivity on Tesla?
Yes, and specifically, I'm glad that you brought it up, in which I was going to bring up in the EV podcast, in which you'll probably hear this in the EV podcast. It's been 1 whole year that I've been on the yearly subscription, which has saved me money, which is great. But yes, I do.
It's been a year.
And you like the service then for the music?
Yes.
It counts as text, so I can bring it up here. You like the service that the
I
premium
use it.
connectivity
The
brings
wife loves it because for the longest time, she was using my Spotify. We have our own 2 accounts on the premium account, but she had to use mine because the Tesla couldn't recognize another account for the longest time. And so that was like the biggest thing, is like she wanted to listen to Spotify. She didn't want to do Bluetooth. She wanted to just tap on the app, and there we go. So that's a thing that we utilize a lot. Every single time I get into the car, I listen to a podcast, I do anything, and I don't want to do the whole Bluetooth handshake of like tap this, tap that, there, we're good to go, or anything like that.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I'd rather just get in, hit the little button on the side to start the music that I've either already been listening to in the morning, or it's already kind of curated, or not curated, but teed up from yesterday. So I just kind of continue from where I left off after finishing my commute. So, yes.
I caught on that when you were talking about playing Tidal on it, because I know Tidal is the default app on the with Tesla. I just realized that, like, because you were teaching me, I did not know that there would be a sound quality difference playing straight from that. So it makes me feel good when we say these buzzwords like premium, and thus premium connectivity can actually give you premium connectivity, because I don't count premium connectivity as saying satellite view with Google Maps when driving the Tesla. To me, that's not premium connectivity. That's just one more feature. I could care less. I don't like looking at it that way. It's distracting. Premium connectivity is I can actually hear the money's going towards something. I can hear this. Or I'm at a park station and I'm charging. Okay, I'll boot up YouTube for 30 minutes and play. Like, that stuff does actually matter. That's kind of cool. And that's something I will definitely consider whenever I pick up our next vehicle. I'm plugging hints, so you go check out the EV podcast when we get the next vehicle, and because I think I get a 30-day trial or something, right? It's 30 days. So that's something I want to try out. You got me interested about trying the music stuff now. So there you go.
Cool.
Give it a shot. But
Go ahead.
it is a tech podcast at the end of the day, which is why I think we need to talk about the yellow iPhone.
No!
Was that on your
Audio
wrist?
listeners, he did it. He did it.
I just flashed Randy.
I'm so jealous. Oh, he did it. Nick, if you're listening to this one, because he talked about it too. He beat you, buddy. Oh.
Did you not see it, Randy? That's what I'm curious. Did I blend it in the background well enough?
I know that you would do things like this, and like hindsight, it's clicking, but it's so subtle because it's so clean. From a distance,
beautiful.
Okay, visually, looking at you at Discord, and you're at a smaller rectangle than, say, like my OBS or whatever. When you hold it up a certain way, that could have for a moment passed as your stainless steel. But You have the space gray stainless steel, not the white one. I
Yeah,
bought it.
graphite.
And the indicator is that you don't ever use a white band.
That's right. This white band came with the watch, actually.
He's got audio listeners, he's got the ceramic Apple Watch Series 5.
Nice.
That's right. We talked about it. And I've been dropping hints left and right, and I've been lying to everyone, unfortunately.
What are the
Stop
hints?
lying to us. We can't stop this man from lying. Every single month there's something he's lying about.
I will lie in the most benevolent way possible. But basically, I didn't want to...
Way to put yourself on a podium.
I wanted to catch
Step
Randy's
down from
live
that
reaction,
stool.
basically.
Yeah,
was
because he
like-
texted me like 3 weeks ago or something about, he was like, hey, are you interested in whatever? And I was like, oh, what an interesting question, unless he got it. But he told me he didn't. Because the rule is that, the part that we've been open about is that I wouldn't just pay full price for the ceramic. That'd be painful. There has to be a way to, we got to make it right. What happened? Did an audience member reach? What happened? I need to know.
No.
I have questions.
I've just been scouring eBay for a long time, and I finally found one that was around 400, a little bit over 400.
How does it
that
feel?
Was substantially. It feels great, to be honest.
I'm assuming it came in
I
good
love-
quality.
Well, it was in used good condition, but I was confused what that meant because I knew that it had the sapphire glass.
Yeah.
And the ceramic chassis is, Apple says, 4 times stronger than the steel. And it's not a fingerprint magnet like the steel watches are. So I was like, how is it
teasing
in
me?
how is it in good condition if it's like the most durable watch they've ever made or close
It was
to it?
worn by
You
a
know, it's like-
welder for 5 days straight of welding, and all the beads were
Yeah.
just peppering it.
I feel like it might have actually been that because there's not like scratches,
Okay.
but there are little stains, like tiny little stain spots. And you can't see them unless you really, really look for them. I don't think you guys can see them.
So we're saying on the sapphire glass.
Uh-huh.
No, on
You haven't-
sapphire glass, it looks blacked out to me. The
Yeah.
displays turned off.
Yeah.
That's how it looks when I'm using it typically. Here's this with the screen on. They're more on the edges, but
Ew! Look at that black bezel. It totally breaks up all the white. Come on, Drew. Look at
Gross.
that black bezel. It totally ruins the immersion. Oh my goodness.
black bezels are the king. And there's Randy Green. Beautiful.
There you go. To the edge.
I just have gray.
It bleeds
So hard to
over.
showcase. Yeah.
Cool.
No, really, it's I've tried to clean it off, and I've still gotten a few ideas from people that knew about it beforehand that I haven't tried yet. But there's other things I've learned
Have you tried
from
bleaching it?
talking with people about.
Flamethrowers?
Wait, what?
I said, have you tried bleaching it? Don't do that.
No,
Don't do that.
I have not.
Okay.
No, bleach is.
Yeah.
You want to be very careful. Every time you
I'm
bleach
joking.
anything.
Don't do that.
But basically, what I found out is that if you have a Apple Watch out of warranty and you want the battery replaced, they will replace it when the battery health is below 80%. But Apple Watch battery replacements are actually not just the battery. They swap out the whole watch. It's just
Wow.
a unit. Like, they give you a whole new one. So I'm torn because it's not in perfect condition. The chassis is great. Like, there's nothing wrong with the ceramic part of it. And the glass doesn't have any scratches on it. And it's still bright. You know, it's still functional. The speaker works. The microphone works and everything. But it's still, like, something you notice in certain lighting. If you were in person, you'd probably see it better. But honestly, it's like 9 times out of 10 that I'm using it, I don't notice it. But I'm like, okay, if I have the opportunity to replace the whole watch in the future, is that worth it? Versus, you know, it's a Series 5 versus the much thinner bezels on the Series 7 are a lot cleaner. This has the
Wow.
full QWERTY keyboard. I'm still torn. I'm still not sure what to do.
How much is the battery replacement or battery quote unquote replacement out of warranty
$80.
for a brand new watch?
Well, it's
Basically.
not brand new anymore.
Well,
It will be.
So take whatever you paid for it plus 80. Is that worth it, or is it going over what that threshold would be?
That's what I'm trying to decide. I
Okay,
guess.
then
I'm trying to figure out what I could sell this for.
Let me help you on that more.
Okay.
Would you? And this is an honest question that you don't even have to answer right now, and it's not for me to really know the answer to that. It's, do you actually see yourself holding on to that Series 5 at least, I don't know, 2 more years or something? I'm trying to think, like, I feel like that would be appropriate value of it, because by then you're going to have the Series 10, so it'd be a 5-year-old product.
Series X.
And someone,
Yeah.
Series X, someone who is rocking an iPhone X,
Yeah.
you know,
There we go.
Right.
I would say that like $80. Okay, $80 by itself might not be worth it, especially when battery replacements like on the 12 mini, my wife has to pay $60, I think, and
It went up to 100 this month.
even for the 12.
I think for all of them, yeah.
Oh.
It's the time you're paying for mostly. It's not the
Well,
battery itself.
to be
But,
fair,
yeah, that
she was
was a
like, "Nah, I'm
recent
not gonna do it." She goes, "There's nothing wrong. The phone is just, it's naturally just kind of showing its age with the."
My wife's
processor."
phone is below 80% battery health too.
Yeah,
My
it's
watch
weird,
is
right?
at
They're like, "I don't
79
care."
right now.
I'm over here. The moment it gets to 79, I'm like, swap it. But I'm weird like that, I guess. So anyway, if you see yourself genuinely, honestly holding on to that watch for maybe 2 years, regardless of what happens with the Series 7, it might be worth it, because that's, at the end of the day, like that's a good deal for basically a certified refurbish. I'm comparing it to certified refurbish, and
Mm-hmm.
I would pay, assuming you got, knowing how you are with how you crunch numbers, I'm going to assume you didn't spend that much money on it, but it only becomes really worth it when you're able to sell the Series 7. So if my numbers might be right, what I'm thinking in my head, an additional 80 might be worth it if you're actually going to hold on to it multi-year. If it's something that you think
Okay.
you're gonna probably upgrade between whatever happens at the end of this year or next year, it might not be worth it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would be a good use of spending money for you personally. But
Okay.
again, that also depends if you're able to. If the Series 7 sells, that actually changes the dynamic. I'm assuming worst case scenario, you can't find a buyer for the Series 7, and so you're left with the check at the end of the day to pay for that watch, the Series 5. $80 regardless would be worth it if it goes over 24 months as of from like maybe today. I would say that's a good use of money.
Okay.
And you get effectively a brand
That's
new
fair enough.
watch. And I think it's cool because I know as much as you like the bleeding over display illusion and all that stuff, the bezels aren't that bad for what it is. We don't use our watches like the way we use our phones. And even if we did, it's not that bad. The Series 3 and below, take that out back and shoot it. Thank you, Apple.
Yeah.
Everything
I wasn't going to do that.
Everything after that,
Yeah.
I think, is fair game, and it's not. You'll make do. You look at the information, you get a text message, you got your eyes on the keyboard, or you just want to look at the complications. What's the weather? Like, it does what you want it to do, and it's a cool Let's be honest, little vanity. It's a cool piece of watch. It's a good collector's edition. I love that watch. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So-
me too. I never got to check out the ceramic Series 5 in person before, and I miss them not making, they don't make it anymore, which has like a special amount of value to me, because it's like, okay, they can't, on the newer watches, you can't get it in that style. You can't get it with that design. It complements the AirPod white gloss so well. Like all the wearables go with that pearl gloss accent, and
The white iPhones, not silver, the actual white iPhones.
right.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
the steel picks up fingerprints and oils so much, and I buy them mostly for the glass because I've seen how well the sapphire glass ages. And seeing how anti-fingerprint this surface is while still having the more durable display, and it's also just like different. It stands out against all the other watches, makes me like, yeah, I would be interested in that one, especially on the spirit of, downgrading tech, which I've been doing lately, and that's been fun to review for the channel going back several generations. This was a combination of like, okay, I've never bought anything from eBay refurbished. I would like to go through that experience so that when I'm recommending it to other people, I can say, yeah, I've used it. I know how it works and I'm comfortable with it. But that's also why I'm on the fence, because I'm like, well, they say they have this 30-day return policy. How well does that work? If I did return this, I could find out how smooth or how complicated that process is, so I feel more comfortable recommending or not recommending eBay refurbished. And it's like a way for me to downgrade and say, yes, you can live with a previous generation watch. It's also a way of me putting my foot down. No, I don't need the latest and greatest. I mean, this is already not the latest, but Series 8 is dead to me. So
it is the latest. It is. It's the same chip, same body. You're not a female. You don't have to track your ovulation. It's the same
that
watch.
goes along with it. Yeah, pretty much. So it was like a way for me to preserve and like think about the fact that these ceramic editions aren't in production anymore. So there's going to be a limited number of them in circulation and only a certain number of people that actually use them and still wear them. And I was like, I feel like, as a fan of the design and as someone who really, really wanted it back when it came out, but I was just like, even 2017, 2018 Drew could not justify it was like $1,400.
Absolutely not. Nope.
Yeah, no, like I couldn't,
Nope.
because I knew over time that would slowly, depreciate, and it's an Apple Watch. It only lasts a certain number of years anyway. But I was like, hey, if it's $400, that's cheaper than an aluminum Series 8.
That still gets software update. Like it's not old software.
No, it's still getting the latest updates, and it probably will for several more years. But I also just don't think I'm gonna care if it stops getting support, because it's a watch, and watchOS is only able to, like, I can't even remember what they added in watchOS 9. I think they added the low power mode thing, but
my watch
other than
is
that,
ugly now. I don't want it anymore. Take it. Wait, can we see Drew again and again? Like there he is. No, that's Mike. You're high. Anyway, I'm so jealous, but for all the like happy reasons that you got it. Like, it looks so cool seeing it not as a product screen, like to actually see it on. Because I would make a case that Mark has said the Apple Watch Ultra is not something he would wear to like the Met Gala or whatever.
The Met Gala.
And yet he wears
Subtle
it.
flex.
He wears it. Right. But I'm not gonna go this year, guys. But he wears it in all his videos and everything. So it's safe to say that is his main. That's his daily. He did not do a Series 8. He is doing the Ultra, and it does stand out. But I would say in elegance, his comment back then, it still stands true. And that ceramic watch is a way better looking flex than the Ultra. It's so, look at how clean it is. It's so clean.
It's very pretty.
I love it. The white and black combos is perfect.
It matches the car. It's the white and black contrast.
Oh, it's so perfect.
It's pearl on the wrist.
That is that is meant to
Pearl
be your
on the
watch. I changed my mind, Drew. After hearing that, I changed my mind. That is a watch you should absolutely keep and use for 2 years. Spend the $80. Get a brand new.
I thought the staining on the screen would be a bigger issue for you, to be honest. I thought you were going to be like, oh, no.
I have to see it. I can't see it.
Okay, well, I'm trying to showcase it best I can, but
I can't tell.
See, this is why it was like the perfect dilemma. On top of that, also, it's more explained in the video, but I unboxed it. It was not the original packaging. This is not the original band either. This is a third-party watch band. It's not from Apple. And it's not the ceramic pin, which I was really...
Just paint it white.
Or
black.
I could have done that to this. Huh? Just paint
There you go. I don't see your problem.
There's probably a way to do that.
You get what you pay
what
for.
all those other YouTubers did, and instead of gold plate it, Just white
and lie.
or paint it. Well, that too.
I would be
AKA
curious because that's
lie.
one of my few issues with this is the bezel size is not as good as it could be, but it's still night and day compared to
Black
Series
bezels
3.
suck.
You know, I was looking for it for several months, as Randy can attest. I kept looking on eBay. I was like, this one's $700, this one's $900, this one's. I saw a couple for like $600, and I was like,
That's when I stopped looking. I was like, I'm not gonna find it. I'm not that invested anymore. And as I told
kept
Drew
looking.
offline, I was like, I can't even sell this one, and I had to even sell this one to fund that one. That's the only way it would pass the chain of command. I was like,
Right.
I can't do it.
I was not expecting this to pass the Senate and the House.
There we go.
I saw the listing, and I was like, 409.
That's amazing.
But here's the other sketchy thing. There was no pictures of it. They had no IRL photos. No. All it said was used in good condition. That was behind excellent and like new. It was not great. It was good, which was like almost to the bottom. But I kept thinking, I was like, it's a ceramic watch. What could be wrong with it? And nowhere in the description was it like the screen is cracked or anything. There were other people selling ceramic watches for like $200 that had screen cracks. And those are not cheap to replace, for the record, in case you're curious. Like, if you asked Apple that's what I thought, because I was talking to Burkhart, and he was telling me that he got his Series 5 battery replaced once the battery health was below 80, and they just swap out the entire watch. It's a whole different unit. He's like, it's a different serial number. Like, you can tell by looking at it. It's not the same watch at all. He had scratches and scuffs on it, and they were all gone when he got it back. So I don't know why they do it that way, but I said, well, if they're just swapping it, why can't someone just buy a cracked watch and ask for a battery swap, and then they get a whole new watch? And he said, no, that won't work. He's like, that they consider that a screen repair, and then it's the full like $900 to $1,000 to replace it. So I was like, but it's the same thing at the end of the day, right? Apple would still take this and just throw it out, essentially, or break it down. And I was like, is the goal to trick people? Is the goal just to trick people into thinking that the battery was replaced and nothing else was? And he was like, yeah, basically, that's the point, is to like make people think. But they're like, it's so complicated to open up the watch and take out the battery and put it back in that it's easier to just send you a new one. So I was like, wait, how do they? I thought they're not making ceramic Series 5s anymore. And he was like, you think that, but the serial number that he got for his Series 5 was made like last year, even though they haven't sold the Series 5 for several years. So I think the theory is that they either have a bunch in stock that they don't sell, they just keep around for service, and you can't service it past a certain year. So once the product is listed in as vintage, or Apple brands it as obsolete, that means you can't bring it in anymore. You can't replace the battery. Even if you want to pay for it, they won't replace it or fix it. So he was like, as long as you get it replaced with the battery for the $80 before like 2025 or 2026, then they'll send you a brand new Series 5 ceramic with the full 100% battery health. And then it'll just be a question, how many years of software support does it get? And does the new generation of watchOS make you feel like you're missing out that badly that you can't live with it anymore? And I was like, yeah, I can't visualize anything, because already watchOS 9 was kind of
That's the thing.
You know,
if we're talking software, just in general with watches, like what are we? What's there to like persuade you? And I say persuade loosely. For example, my wife, a normie, non-techie person, has a tall order for Apple Watch. She goes, I'm not going to upgrade my Apple Watch ever again unless the diehards of the diehard people, non-techie, I want FaceTime call done on my watch because it's cool. And not that third-party stuff. As cool as the little cam thing is, that's not what she wants. She wants the same integration that when an inbound call happens, I'll just continuity or transfer over whatever that thing is now with Ventura and
yeah.
like, oh,
handoff.
cool. hand off. How about move it over, boop, and then just take FaceTime. You can transfer your FaceTime calls. She wants to do that. That would be cool, even though it might not be practical. The point isn't about practicality. It's about doing something so far out there. Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, that's her version of Mike. Yeah, I'll try Tidal. I'll just see what that. For her, it's like I would do something like that because that's new. That's unique. That's cool. It might hurt my battery. Don't really care. It's not about we put we charges our watch every single night. It's not like she's tracking her sleep. Maybe she wants to, but she doesn't wear it. And so many people, admittedly, I was one of these people a few years ago. They don't wear their watch every day. It's there. And it is such a passive thing that we don't feel the need to upgrade an Apple Watch the same urge you get with an iPhone. Take the tech tubers out of the equation. Who's genuinely that jazzed about cycle tracking? Some females might be. If they're family planning or whatnot, that might be important to them. More power to you. I'm happy for you that software exists then, and get the watch and the blood oxygen level. If that's your thing, cool. Us on the panel, that's not applicable to us, and it don't really whatever. We did Series 8 with the Apple Watch Ultra. Effectively, that's what that is, except with more bells and gizmos. Couldn't tell a difference with the integration on it that I would not be doing on my Series 7, which I guarantee, besides the keyboard, would be the exact same thing on the Series 5. So, there's really no reason to find like the I have to upgrade. We all of us, maybe collectively, General, who's interested in this ceramic stuff, would like the latest one again because we're in the bracket of, hey, I might be due for an upgrade soon, and instead of hunting the third party, line here for something, if Apple sells it directly, I might be interested. But then you remind me of a $1,400 price tag, and I'm like, no, I would always buy it.
Right. I keep saying, like, I wish they would, on the Series 9, redo the ceramic watch, and then I would be happy to buy that in 5 years when it's dropped down.
That right there. Yes, that.
I can't wait to buy that used in 5 years.
Oh, that's going to look so good on my wrist when I'm 39 or whatever. Yeah. I will be 39.
Pretty much.
Anyway. Hey,
wow!
I will tell you this: spend the $80. That bare minimum. To be honest, I feel. Say you don't keep it in 2 years, I think you'll be able, knowing how you'll sell it, you'll market it way better than you bought that. Like, you'll have photos. You could say this particular serial number.
Brand new.
It's effectively like new. I think bare minimum, if you find yourself not wanting it, it might do you some good to like sell it later. Or if it becomes vintage, what us in the automobile industry likes to call a classic, it might be a good collector's item all the same. You don't know where your headspace will be, but the bare minimum is at least you have a functioning watch with software support doing, what we needed to do like up to now. That's where I was going at with the software thing. Who cares if there's no more software support? Does it tell the time? Does it tell you text messages? And
right.
Well, compass, I guess. I don't know. Like, always on display if you want. Like,
for us, it's unlocking our computers and all that. So,
true.
At least it does that.
Amen.
Right. Yeah, it can unlock the Mac. That is useful. So yeah, I guess I feel like the channel in general has been pushing more of a nostalgic push as of late.
I
that's
love it.
why
Tailosive classical.
That's right. We're going back to basics with this because I'm sorry. Basically, like, talking about the iPhone 10 has really struck a chord, I think, with a lot of the audience, and I think a lot of the benefits has been chord, get it? Yeah. I think a lot of the advantages of going backwards is not just, okay, you can get tech secondhand for cheap. That's pretty good. You can find older flagships at a discount. But also the benefit of going backwards in downgrading is you can find things that they have since discontinued or find things that are no longer available. With the iPhone 10, that can be the 5.8-inch screen, the curved chassis, and 3D touch. Those, they don't have those on the new phones, but there's some things that people appreciated about it. Now you get to, that's the beautiful thing about Apple, right? Is they software support their devices sometimes longer than we want them to. Like with the Series 3, it kept getting support, and we're like, stop, just cut it off.
A certain iPad.
There's iPads that they don't even update the new ones on those. They just update the number. But Apple Music Classical isn't going to be on the iPad.
You're lying. You're lying.
No, that's an official statement from Apple.
What the?
Who?
Oof. That would require the iPad team to do something. So they're not gonna have it. It'll probably come to Android first.
That's amazing. It goes to Windows first. Windows integration of it, like iMessage and all that. It's like a very weird,
Apple Music Classical, now available on Surface Pro. On iPad, no, use your phone.
On what?
Okay.
Hey, is this going to the iPad? I'm sorry, you cut out there. No, we discontinued the iPod. No,
Who's
iPad.
to say?
Well,
No habla inglés.
I appreciate the enthusiasm because this was a long-term project. I've had it for a week and a half now, and every video I kept taking it off and putting this back on until the last couple videos. It was in the background of the Lightship EV video, and a few people caught it, and then I wore it during the skit of the MacBook video, and then I wore it the entire
really skit, by the way.
Apple Music Classic video. So I tried to make it progressively more Easter egg, because Randy puts Easter eggs in his content. So I wanted to make a little trail for people to follow.
Man,
so that's
keep an eye out. Maybe I would have saw it if I watched your classical video, but I just didn't. Sorry.
That's okay. No, that was what I was hoping for. I was like, I just hope Randy doesn't see it before we're recording.
You know what's funny? I do pay attention to your. I pay attention to that stuff. Like if you're hinting, or I like to think that, and this is just my nightmare maybe that I have to live with. I like to think that people do the weird crap that I do about just hinting at stuff and subliminally or in the background. Because, for example, the last time we talked about it, I was like, he's going to talk about LTE next. And let's talk about LTE. Like, it's right there. I saw it.
Those
and
kinds
I, and
of
I,
things.
and I like
I was
that.
like, he pays attention, so I better.
I felt, like that research paid off. That's a cool feeling. And as a consumer of that stuff, that's fun. As a creator who gives it, it's cool to see the people who notice that, because there are people that like to look at that stuff like that. And I kind of feel like if I watched this last video, then I might have saw it, but I'm so glad I didn't, because I was so excited looking at that. He did it.
The cover photos were also giveaways for the Twitter page, but a few people caught on.
What do you mean cover photos?
I changed it like a week ago, I think, but I was able to throw him off the scent a bit because that was a ceramic Series 3.
Oh, and you posted the video after he timed it 28 minutes ago. His video goes live confirming after we see the watch
from the whole Aptera thing and the other.
That's
things.
right, because the Aptera thing.
Right when when I held it up and he was like, "Oh," I had everything ready. I
love
published tweet, but I was like, "Now publish it."
I don't care about the bezels. That is a clean watch. I don't care. Don't at me. That's so. I'm so happy for you, man. I hope you stick with the white watch face too, because it feels there's this continuity. I don't know.
That watch face is called
ceramic.
Well, there's like a background color for it. The color is ceramic. That's what it says on the.
I love it.
Oh, it's gone.
I saw it.
This watch sucks.
But man's had it a week and a half. I love this watch. This watch sucks.
See, it keeps doing that.
You need always on display.
No, it would still deactivate. But yeah, this does have always on display.
It does?
It's just
Look.
something I've figured out is I noticed that in darker situations, this screen looked a little bit more green than the Series 7. It has a slight green tint to it. And I was like, maybe there's something wrong. This was a very educational experience. I feel like I learned a lot through it. I learned about eBay. I learned about sellers. I learned about how to reset the watch, because when I unboxed it, it still had a passcode, by the way. So that was fun. But I was texting people about it, and I was like, is the green... my wife's Series 3 is older than this watch, and it's not green. It still has the accurate True Tone whatever color to it. It's not super noticeable, especially when it's bright out. You can't tell the difference at all. But in dark situations, it just looks a little bit more green. And Burkhart was like, yeah, my Series 5, before it was replaced, also had that. And I was like, I wonder if it is a side effect of Always On, because this was the first watch that had Always On.
Oh.
Because the Series 3
like
doesn't do that.
Like, not a burn-in, but
I don't remember...
equivalent.
It's something kind of like burn-in. It's not like you can see the pixels still there, but it's like the whole backlight is fading a little bit. And once I heard other people say the same thing, and I was also asking in the video, I was like, but could this be like a third-party display? Like it broke and someone replaced it. And Martin in our server was telling me that, no, if the display was replaced, Apple Pay wouldn't work. He was like, have you used Apple Pay with it? And yeah, I've been using it at the charge point, and I've been paying with it. So it's like everything functionally works. So he's like, yeah, there's no way that's a third party, like unauthorized screen repair. So I'm just amazed that you could damage sapphire glass. I didn't know that was possible. Other than just completely shattering it.
Yeah.
Of course you can do that. But I just meant, like, you know, I have been so brutal on my sapphire watches. I've scratched them against rocks, and I've banged them against door frames and stuff. And I was like, used condition on a ceramic? There's no way. How
What do you do? Take
used?
A bullet to it?
Right. It's got a bullet hole down the middle. But no, their description and everything was like, oh, it's all functional. Everything works. There's just some minor signs of wear. I was like, what could that be? And I saw the little stains, and I tried soap, I tried water, I tried Clorox wipes, and nothing got it off. And there's a few more tricks people have sent me with acetone, or there's these special oils and stuff people use on screens to really dig out the stuff.
Oils.
But I'm your essential oil Apple Watch ceramic cleaner.
Well, it
That's a
didn't work,
special
but it
brand.
smells like lavender now, so there's that.
So
I'm
there's
not
that.
mad. Like the problem isn't fixed, but I'm no longer mad. I'm more relaxed. I've been calm lately.
Right.
These oils.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
noticing green on mine, and I've been using Always On display for...
Which series is that? 5?
In your
6?
Series 5,
he has
yeah.
the 5. In your lighting environment, I don't think you would pick it up. And honestly, I wouldn't have picked it up unless I did a side-by-side.
You want me to turn off all the lights then?
No. I'm saying next time I see you, we need to turn off all the lights and close all the doors. And then compare.
And then lock the doors. Why are there clothes on the floor? What are we doing here? Are we comparing notes or sizes?
We're trying to see the always on effect. Yeah, no,
I'm definitely
I'm
on.
serious. But no, I had to reach out to the person on the medical ID of this watch to make sure it wasn't stolen. Because it had a passcode. It was locked when I first got it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. How does this happen? Like, how do I connect this to my phone if it's locked? And yeah, so I'm gonna have to leave that in my review of the eBay reseller.
Interesting.
But-
It's not stolen, right? Like, I feel like...
Oh, it is. I just didn't care. No, I'm kidding. It's
It was actually
Oh,
taken
the
off
blood
of-
money. Blood money. Kids, children had to mine this stuff. That's fine. No, I don't care. It's diamond. Diamond's a diamond.
Cobalt watch face. Yeah. No, I reached out to them, and it was kind of interesting because I saw his medical data, and he's an organ donor. He's 25.
Oh.
He's 5'10". And
His name is
at some
Randy.
point, he
25.
he's and I was
You
like,
know,
okay,
plus
there's another 25-year-old 5'10" guy out there that wanted at some point a ceramic Series 5. Can we be friends, please? like, who are you? Like, I would like to, I would like to hang out. But he returned it. That was what I found out after reaching out to them, is he bought it off eBay and then returned it. And I was like, what if this guy watches my video? That would be kind of interesting.
He returned it so
But-
that way you can come in and buy it.
I just reached out to clarify, because you can actually, if it's not attached to an iCloud account, I also learned you can factory reset if you don't know the passcode. You have to hold down the side button and then hold down the digital crown, and you can factory reset it. But I just didn't want to do that without making sure that it wasn't a stolen watch. So that's why I reached out. I was like, you guys, did you mean for this to happen? Did you intend to sell it? And they were like, yeah, we bought it from that supplier and then returned it. And they told me that they would factory reset it, and they didn't. So it's on them.
That's a thing on Amazon with the wallets, with the ID thing. Like, people are buying the wallet because it's cheaper on Amazon if you buy it like new, where they bought it, returned it real quick. And these wallets are tied to your ID, your iCloud account.
Right,
and
the Find My.
they can't turn it off. And so when they attach it, they'll be like, this doesn't belong to you. And I've tried it. I put it on someone else's phone. I was like, let me see something. Boom. And it yelled at them like, this doesn't belong to you. We're not going to, you're, warning, someone else has your wallet. You know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's really interesting about this
So I
whole
learned a
thing.
lot.
Yeah.
And I also think the person returning it could have factory reset it. I don't know why they didn't. That would have been the smarter thing to do, because
Maybe
if
they
you
thought they
don't,
did.
then weirdos like me could have found your phone number and
now
reach
I
out
know
to you.
what makes you sick. You're about to get a whole face full of penicillin or something. Whatever you're allergic to.
How did you know that? That's creepy.
Because I'm allergic to penicillin, evidently.
Oh, you are?
Small world.
I took a
I'm not.
at boot camp. You are forced to get a series of shots in an assembly line, and they save the worst for last, and that's when they give you a shot in your buttocks, and that's the penicillin shot, the peanut butter shot. Well, normal people just bruise and then they heal up and they carry on training as usual. This guy had every color of the rainbow form a ring around his butt, and I almost passed out. So they're like, this guy is definitely reacting to it funny. So if I ever get an infection, don't give me penicillin. You'll kill me.
That's so weird. I'm also allergic. I just felt like, how did we bring that up at some point?
Nope.
Like, how did Randy know that?
Because penicillin seems, maybe it's more common.
Randy also has these weird alerts that he knows when I make certain accounts and things. So I was like,
no.
did he figure out my allergic?
I am you, Drew. I am you. I have your medical. I can tell you your social security number if you would like it.
That's good. I can't remember what it is. So one of us.
Too
should
many
know.
numbers. Hey, I'm about to get a text message. Can you verify my social? No. I stopped with the whole letting you know when an account. I'm like, all right, let the man.
That's why I
live.
was curious. I was like, will he get an alert on his phone that Drew has ordered this watch?
Can you imagine that I've been routing all your phone calls for the last 4 or 5 years? Like,
Yes, I could.
nice. Hey, nice.
Okay.
His Model 3's ready. I can't wait to show him how excited I am about this. What?
Just wait till he finds out about the meteorite.
So anyway, yeah, that's a very pale looking yellow iPhone. I'm happy. I'm happy for Nikias, and it looks like that phone was made for him. But
I know. I feel like that should have been the newsroom page. To Nikias from Apple.
boom. Yeah, here you go. Love your favorite American brand. Look forward to doing more collabs. Because it's like his pinned tweet is like, I meet my new friend or whatever, and it's him and Tim Cook. I'm like, that's so cool, man. Good for him. They're good for him. I'm genuinely happy for him. I'm happy that.
I'm happy for him, but I will reiterate, no one else should buy it. Nikias should buy it, but no one else.
Yes. Don't buy. What? This Apple released a new iPhone today. In yellow.
If we could just do
Don't buy
all
it.
three of us, the whole podcast is us just staring at it.
So this
There's a
week,
yellow iPhone.
Apple released a yellow iPhone. Don't buy it.
We saved the don't buy it for the last 2 seconds, and it's
I
like
love
a
it.
2-hour show. Yeah.
Just starting with the music and
Why are we
intensifying more and more.
You could just hold the clip at that specific moment. Then whatever. Never mind.
We
That'd be
would
too logical.
record it and then reverse it and then play it back again and then reverse it until it hit the 2-hour mark. Yeah.
I love it. Do you think this is our this is open floor for both of you guys, actually. I am
don't think
okay with newsroom announcements or just site refreshes. I like having keynotes for something to look at. But it actually gets me more excited when there isn't. And like Dub and iPhone season are like my yes, let's do it. I don't want to dilute this new video version of Apple Park. I like it. It feels more special when we wait. And I've been on the fence. We've talked about it before where it's like, no, give me more. I want to see all these angles. But I don't actually. I don't want a whole 30-minute to an hour blocked out of time so you could tell me about an iPhone, some watch bands, a new MacBook, and the student discount of the iPad. I don't care. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. And if it's services, I don't care. Just do those YouTube videos. That's fine. And I think Apple's doing that too. That's my vibe. That's what they're doing, and I'm for that. Dub is meant to really bring a community together. Let's talk about this, so that way the whole world talks about Apple, especially Google and Samsung and everybody else going to get in on this. Like, this is our time. You know, it's Apple season, and then late in the year, it's iPhone season. Now that we don't have keynotes for spring, I'm about it. I'm cool with just 2. Let's just do 2 jam-packed 90-minute to 2-hour content of, because there's no fluff. That's the thing I was hating. Like, there's a lot of fluff. If they go back to doing live streams, good morning, Cupertino. That's different.
Yeah.
Then it's like, all right, let's get them as much as we can and see how many live bloopers we can catch. Oh, but if they're just gonna be pre-made videos, like, keep the magic alive. Let's just do 2 main ones, and the rest just push out website refreshes and let us lose our minds over that way.
I'm probably in the same camp. I kind of like how they switch up their scenes, like that Apple House that's got like a cut through it, so they could do all the different things. I like how they structure those, and it's not always the same house. It's always like a slightly different tweaked house in a way that might look sort of like the one from a year ago or 2 years ago, but it's a little bit different. I want that to stay live as well because it shows that they're getting creative with it, but it's not like they're time constrained. Like, oh, we need to tear all this down and build it back up for next week's keynote or whatever, next month's keynote. Like, that's too much resources being wasted. Apple already has enough waste with their resources. We don't need to add more. But yeah, I think the way that's kind of going with digitizing everything and just making it either a website refresh or anything like that's fine. I'm more of the sound mind kind of thinking about it now. If they really wanted to capitalize on an experience, at least for announcing a product, they could do some weird metaverse type thing. It's just have a whole like newsroom VR or AR where like it's all happening around you, and like you can look at the yellow iPhone in your own room and all that. Stuff like that. I think that's...
Randy just lost so much faith and hope in his face. He just went...
I think it could be reality.
Don't do that.
A reality.
A reality OS.
But not mine. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I stand by my previous wish that if there's a new design, I'm in favor of an event. But if it's just a chip upgrade or one new color or, I don't think we need events for graphs, is I guess how I feel. Like, look, chip fast, big chip good. I don't see the need for that because they are trying to be overly analytical, this grungy M1 Pro, M1 Max. They try to be all analytical, but the real nerds know that they're not saying anything real.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, You're not giving us real performance. You're not actually
This
diving
was
into
us
the specs.
yesterday. This is us today. What does that mean?
Right. There's vague graphs. So the average consumers don't know what you're talking about. The nerds don't care what you're talking about because they know you're not providing real information. So I'm like, we don't need that. You can skip all that. You don't need to send out invites and do a whole live broadcast for chips. But if there's a new design that you want to unveil, like I'm still upset that AirPods Max didn't get an event. That was a site refresh. I was like, that should have been a little keynote tacked into part of the M1 launch, which wasn't really a new design, but it was the first M chip of all time, so I kind of give it a pass for that. But still, it was like a 40-minute keynote. It was already short, and then 2 weeks later they dropped AirPods Max. I was like, that would have been the perfect time to showcase, like, here's why we designed it this way. Here's the emphasis we put into the fabric and the arms that, and, you know, they're magnets, and you can take out the cushions. And I feel like the reason we all love and mock at the same time the whole Johnny Ive thing, aluminium, and because Johnny Ive was the design guy, and we like watching live unveils. If there's a new design, and sure, there can be one presentation each year for all the software, that's dub, and then one keynote that you know is going to happen every year for the iPhone, and probably the Apple Watch, and maybe some new AirPods, and if there's time, if there's a new AirPods design, sure. That's when it makes sense to have events. But yeah, I agree. It doesn't make sense just for new colors, or to me, even the iPad Air isn't a new design. That's just the iPad Pro dumbed down. I'm like, there's not really much to talk about because all they do is compare it to the last iPad Air, which came out 4 years ago. But it's like, it's not different. You're just repackaging an old iPad Pro.
Right.
So, I'm in favor of more site refreshes as long as they don't have much to say, because all that happens with fluff events is false expectations. People think there's going to be something big when there isn't, and people get way out of control with their hype, and they're like, oh, this is going to be the glasses, this is going to be the car, and then it doesn't happen. So with leak culture the way it is and how much rumors get out, it's like, yeah, you don't need to send out invites because you came up with some new colors or you threw a new chip in the same MacBook as before. That's not worth having an event. So, I mean, selfishly, I could argue that my channel performs much better when they have an event.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a hype period. There's the invites, and that covers the news cycle for a while, and then there's the live reaction to the event, and that usually gets a lot of eyeballs on my channel, and then the recap of the event. And even if it's a disappointing event, it's a benefit to me. But I care about more than just the channel making money. So I'm just speaking honestly as a consumer. Yeah, it's more frustrating when they hype up an event and act like it's going to be a big deal, and then you watch it and nothing really happens, and we're just left all disappointed. But
like when they do the interviews, like when Craig sits down and I have no idea what you're talking about and stuff like that. Like the iPad Pro keyboard got its own time over like AirPods Max, and that I'm like, okay, cool. It doesn't have to be its own thing. Just go do press, go do the thing you do press, and that's fine. But have consistency with it. You know what I mean? Like, just, we don't need to do press about a yellow iPhone. We don't need to do press about an iPad, especially one that's just reskin, repackaged, and software locked. That because you're so right. Like, you don't really the Apple Pencil hovering thing. That's absolutely a thing that could be on the first M1 iPad Pro. I don't even have it, and I feel bad for those guys. And so I was like, okay, cool. Now we're going to do OLED and price increase. Like, don't do an event about that. Don't do that. Don't waste time, because the normal people who care about iPad Pros that are just that prosumers don't really care that same way. And the real pro people aren't really using iPads like that. They do it as a challenge. I'm convinced every time, like, Marquez or Jonathan Morrison or any of these other guys that, like, I see people sometimes stand behind the iPad Pro and I hear their argument for it, but they do it as a challenge.
Next video. Right back to the Mac. Bach.
Yeah. Mach. they do it as a challenge. And like, cool, you make cool content. It was a challenge for it.
But
But-
doesn't that inherently explain the problem? Is that it is a challenge?
Yes, that's
Let me challenge myself to just use the iPad. We're just saying if you're dropping $2,500, maybe it shouldn't be a challenge. It should just
Right?
be a thing that it does.
it. Just should work.
I'm going to try to edit my next video just with my Mac and nothing else. It's a challenge I'm doing.
Good luck.
I'll tell you,
I'm gonna
I
just use my Mac challenge.
the last few videos I posted on my channel this past week or whatever, shot on iPhone, edited on iPhone, posted it on iPhone, done. Like it that
No one cares. Yeah,
no one
it's
cared. Like
fine.
it was
looks great.
there,
Yeah,
done. So
it's not an iPhone challenge. It's
Right.
just a tool. Yeah,
it's a tool.
Try
So
to
when
take
you
a
say
photo with my phone.
So when you say you're going to film on the iPad Pro and then edit using DaVinci or all that stuff, you are inadvertently forcing a narrative that like, look, you can really do this, while also indirectly what you're saying, Drew, is like indirectly saying that like, it's a challenge. We're trying to do, and we don't.
it's harder than it should be.
And we shouldn't have that. That doesn't. I'm just so disappointed because we're focusing on the wrong, like if we're doing on paper side by side, we're focusing on the wrong things with the iPad. Fix the software, just the software. Watch how everything just falls into place. I guarantee it falls into place so much smoother than third-party applications and comes in. We can do LumaFusion, DaVinci Resolve. Like, none of that. HDR, this. Nobody, like, fix the software. Every prosumers, consumers, content creators, and children can all get behind an easier interface if you
Thanks
fix
for
the
thinking
software.
of the children.
I'm always thinking
Well,
for
he's
the
a-
children.
He's a father, so
Yeah, I have to.
He's got
Makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, that's my brain. I was like, how can I give this to my kids
Right.
someday? So, like, just do that. Just do that. Don't
Yes,
keynote that. Just fix it. Anyway,
Well said.
well said.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your hilarious reactions. This was a lot of fun for me. And also, I really appreciated your guys' commentary on the streaming services. That was fun. That was interesting.
Yeah.
There may be a tidal wave coming.
Hey-o! Am I the father
They have
or
to
you?
use-
Who's the dad here? Hey, Ben!
Well,
Ben!
that's why I got another surprise.
What?
No, I hid my baby in my last 5 videos and no one noticed.
You did.
He's
It's
still
the watch.
working.
There were baby Easter eggs.
Oh, my
No.
goodness.
All right. Take care, all. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.